Hey, Mike Callahan here. Wanted to take a few minutes and go over some basically questions we've been seeing in the service industry, particularly in service autopilot users, but just in general in the snow removal industry, how to go out and actually set up production rate based estimating for snow removal. And as we well know in the snow removal industry that we have several types of equipment. So just breaking down for actually plowing, we can be looking at a plow with an 8-foot blade, a plow or a truck with a plow that's a V blade, a whiteout. We could have a skid steer with a box plow. We could have a backhoe with a box plow. We could have a loader with a box plow. Each one of these covers a significantly different overhead and production rate. So we need to be ways to track that. And then not to add even more complexity to that, but we really need to look at our sidewalk removal, whether we're doing it with shovels, whether we're doing it with snow blowers, ATVs with a plow on it. So we've got the plowing with all different types of plows, trucks, and pieces of equipment. We've got sidewalk removal. And then in addition to all of that, we have the application of either rock salt or liquid brine or sanding, depending on where in the country or what country you're in and where the applicable things are going on in your market. So I'm going to take some time to see today, not a real long video, but just give you a really high overview of how to set some service autopilot and just general, no matter your CRM, how to set up plowing estimates based on production rates. And then if there's enough engagement or interest in this, I'll make a long video, 45 minutes to an hour long, diving in how to break down each particular part of this. But this is going to be a high level of a couple different ways that this can be approached. So first thing we want to look at is when we're going in to set up an estimate, if you are using Service Autopilot or even if you're not using Service Autopilot, we really want to create a standardized way to systematize the measurement of the property and make it delegatable. So first thing we're going to do in Service Autopilot, or if you're going to go out to Google Satellite, is I'm going into more and I'm grabbing the property measurements. And I'm going to click into the satellite view here. And I'm actually going to zoom out of this here and grab a commercial parking lot so it's a little more applicable. So bear with me here while I zoom out of this here. And I'm going to grab a parking lot right here. That will work. So what we're going to do then is if we are plowing indeed this parking lot right here, is what we're going to do is going to go in on a product like Maps Pro and Service Autopilot or Google Earth, is we're going to go in and measure the actual pavement to be plowed. One of my other local competitors is probably not too stoked on measuring this parking lot here, but we'll give you an idea. And the pricing in here is going to be fictitious, so it's not giving any secrets away. But as we go in, this is an ATM hangover, so we're going to go in and measure that area as well to be plowed out. Now, this is just a rough rendition, but everything here that's highlighted is the area we're going to be plowing. So I'm just going to put plowing here up top so I can track what that is. And I'm actually going to go in and color this out and make my plowing area red. And then I'm going to add in my sidewalks. So this would probably actually be pavement because our rock salt for salting is going to be on here. So I've got pavement and then I've got sidewalks. I'm going to go in and zoom into this, and this property just has sidewalks across the front here. So I'm going to go in and just grab the sidewalks. Pull that back out a little bit so it's accurate. So now we've got our pavement area and we've got our sidewalk area. And I'm going to take this sidewalk area and just color this in blue so it stands out. And then when I hit save here, every time we pull this property up, we've got a visual representation of the service area. So we've now, the first step is we need to standardize our measuring and process and procedure for what we're servicing, what we're not servicing. And now we've got a way right now that's labeled inside the software. We can take a screenshot and upload this to the mobile so the driver 24/7 has an idea of what is included in this property and what's not. So this could be, depending on the breakout, maybe this road's included or part of the road. But now that we've highlighted it, there's no misunderstanding for the office or the field staff. Now we have basically standardized roadmap here. Now you could go in and mark this up later where you actually want to stack the snow and things like that too. So this would be a great reference point. But the main thing we want to go in here is I'm going to go into where it says sidewalks with a plus sign. I'm going to knock that down to a negative sign or a 0. So this right now is 0. So we're just not tracking. So I got 17,000 square feet of pavement we're plowing here. So I'm going to scroll in, and you would never have this many custom fields, but I would go in here, a pavement square footage to be plowed, and save that. So now that's saved on the client record. Then I'm going to go up to the pavement up top here. Let me bump this out so you can see it. The pavement up top here, I'm going to make this plus sign a 0 sign, and I'm going to add a plus sign to the sidewalks. And then I'm going to go back into custom fields and pull out the sidewalk square footage for clearing and hit save. So what has happened here is we've basically captured our square footage of the pavement for plowing and salting and the square footage of the sidewalk for clearing and then ice melt. Then we're going to scroll down, and this test account is not as complex of an estimating system. So the next one I've got an incognito window that I'm going to flip around is actually going to break out some finer detail. If people are interested in how to really dial into it, I can make a longer video on it. But both of these are going to be different levels of complexity where you're at in your estimating system. But ideally, we want to go in and hit add an estimate. We are going to scroll down here, hit templates. I'm going to grab my plowing template. And when I pull that in, these are fictitious numbers, so don't have anybody try to go to the bank with these. But basically in this test account, it's automatically loaded a snow plowing for the commercial lot with a retainer. So what we've got here is we've got $680. And when I click on this little paper icon here, plowing the parking lot for every 1.57 inches or 1.5 inches for 17 visits. And then in this instance, I would go in and plug in what the overage rate is. Maybe it's $70 per push after 17 visits. We have been able to now merge in custom fields in the estimate description. So now in a new version of this, when we build this out, we don't have to physically go in there. We would go into an on-site or estimate form, and it would automatically populate. So I'm going to go in and just hit save here so we can see what this looks like. So I'm going to go draft a quote. So now I've got a retainer of 17 trips and an overage thereafter. I've got commercial snow lot plowing per trip, so $50 per visit based on that. And then we've got snow plowing for the season for $1,400. And then we've got sidewalk clearing and de-icing at $35 a visit. And salting in the parking lot at $65 a visit. So once you've got that in, and like I said, this is the very simplistic version. So on the next screen, I'm going to flip over after I go through this process. I'm going to show you the math behind how these numbers can be calculated. And obviously, these are fictitious rates and production rates, but this is going to give you the math and ideology of how we build this out in a snow removal company. So we're going to scroll down and hit save. Next step is we're going in and hitting email. And we've got some verbiage here. And we're emailing that out. I'm going to hop over to my other screen and pull up my email real quick and get you a version of what this email looks like once we click into this live estimate. All right, so I'm pulling this over here, and I just went into my email and pulled up this estimate. So this is the estimate that we got in here for 2018 or 2019 snow removal fictitious agreement. And we've got snow plowing commercial lot for retainer, $70 per visit, and this price is for up to 17 trips. I've got commercial parking lot, 10 trip minimal. So $50 a trip with a 10 trip minimal payment. And then we've got salting a parking lot at $65. If we are not in control of the salting, I added some verbiage in here that if it's on demand, it's an extra $65 to dispatch that truck, and they need to hold a harmless agreement. And sidewalk clearing and de-icing, $35, same thing. If it's on demand and they're calling us in, we're charging them an extra $65, and they're holding a hold harmless on that. So we've got some additional verbiage here for snow removal and stacking, and all prices are subject to tax, what the company is responsible for, what the customer is, and we scroll down and they can click and sign the document electronically, print their name, and now our estimate has become a signed contract with hold harmless verbiage in there. So when we go back into the client, if you have any comments or questions, drop below. I'm going live. I'm going to go into the next screen here in a minute and show you the detail and the math behind how you break this all out on a per inch or an average seasonal rate like I just showed you. So after I close this out, that estimate's going to be marked as 1 up in the header here. I'm going to pull it up. And you got signature information from the contract. And under attachments, I've got a signed PDF. They can hold up in court for slip and fall litigations or anything else that they've done. And there's a signed contract. So that's going to cover you in court. That'll cover you for any of the issues you have there. So that's going to be a general high-level workflow. So after we go through that, I'm going to pull up my incognito window here with any luck. And maybe not. So let's we'll hop in and log into a different account to show you what happens here. So hold on one sec. I'm just going to pull over the other screen to make sure I don't show anybody else's private information being linked up to as a certified advisor, and I'll pull over the screen for you. All right, so there we go. So this is another example in our business in a box model. So this is based on industry average production rates for different size equipment in different inches. So thought process here is we go in, pull up a tester account, and there's a couple different ways you're doing it. This looks a little bit different because I'm logged in as a certified advisor, but same workflow, add an estimate, and we would have custom fields behind the scenes. So I'm going to go in and select a template, and I'm going to do my snow removal lead average per inch. So this is very similar to what I just showed you in the first screen, but this is actually kind of the math behind it, how you can break it out. So based on a 5,000 square foot lot, and this is obviously fictitious, 0.25, so 15 minutes to plow that, we've broken this out from 0 to 2 inches, 2 to 4 inches, 4 to 6, 6 to 8, 8 to 10, 10 to 12. Now, it obviously, as it gets higher, it takes us longer to do that. And based on, I believe, 45 bucks an hour in this fictitious example, it's spitting out a price. So what this really is, though, is we're trying to find an average rate per run. So what this line item here would say, plowing a parking lot per trip, but underneath it, we'd have all these variables based on a straight blade plow and the different production rates. And what we would do is figure out how, on average, how many 0 to 2 inch snowfalls. So let's say we had 5 of those in our market, 2 to 4, we had 2 of those snowfalls, 4 to 6, maybe we only had 1 on average a year in the last 17 years or so. 6 to 8, maybe in New York, we've got 5, and 8 to 10, I've got 1. And usually I'd say at least 2 10 to 12 inch events we have in New York here in my area. So what we've done is, in theory, if you want to get this complex, is into the quantity, you can put in the average amount of snowfalls you think that are going to happen in each range. And then based on the square footage, it's taken the 5 trips at 0 to 2 times whatever we're charging per push. Now, obviously, this is fictitious. It wouldn't be 11 bucks, but whatever that calculated out to be in your math, and it gives you $56 worth of pushes at the 0 to 2 range. And then it adds them all up here for plowing the parking lot with 8-foot straight blade of $237. So in this example, that's how you could potentially create an unlimited contract on your market averages. So this would be the math behind the unlimited contract of, say, $1,700 in the other example. In addition to that, and we've gone and done this here for 8-foot straight blade, we've done this for a V-plow, we've done this for an 8-foot pusher on a skid, a loader with 12-foot, 16-foot pusher on a parking lot, and then we've done labor with a snowblower in the increments, clearing the sidewalks with a shovel, salting of the parking lot. So these can be broken down on each one of those types of services to get an average of what you need to charge for the season, or potentially per run, per visit if you broke this down as a per plowed price. So that's kind of how we can break down the average of how long it's going to take and what you need to charge for each level of snow as it goes throughout the year. So you're going to be able to do that. So this is going to be your set pricing per push, averaging all the data behind it, or your set price for the whole entire season based on adding extra numbers into the quantity. Now, in our market with Lake Effect, we have two predominantly different areas. So this was beneficial for us because by the lake, we'd get 3 to 5 more runs that were heavier than outside of the lake by the city. So it allowed us to give more accurate pricing based on the geographic location, whether it was in the snow belt on the lake in upstate New York or outside of that snow belt as well. So it gave us some functionality there. And then if we had square footage of parking lot, it would automatically calculate whether it's a 5 cubic yard V-box, so a 2 to 5 yard, or an 8 cubic yard V-box on like a triaxle. So we've got each type of equipment in volume as well as far as production. So the next thing that we potentially could tackle here is, and this is a little bit different, so bear with me because we've worked the system a little bit, but this is one way we've seen it tackled. So if we did per inch, we basically took a Service Autopilot package, and a package is predominantly used in maintenance rounds or fertilizing. But what we can do is, if we wanted to do a per inch contract and spell out how much we're charging per inch in that parking lot, we've got from 0 to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 6, 6 to 8, 8 to 10, and 10 to 12. And we've defaulted here, but we could go into print items so you can see what it is, and print item only. So this is not going to allow the consumer to select what range they want. And if we go in and slip this to quote and hit save, you're really not scheduling off the estimate in snow removal anyways, because we need to create a contract and then add the jobs under that contract. So this is a little bit different than our traditional workflow in the summer, but it's a cool workaround to allow the visible setup of a per inch contract to the client. And I'm going to go up and just preview this so you can kind of see what this looks like. So actually, we've got a little line here, so it's in editing. And if you are using Service Autopilot, I can show you how to fix that, because that occasionally does happen. So when that line of code comes in, you've actually forgotten to update your document. So if you go into the document editor and you get that little line where it just says the grid name, you go in here, and I'm going to pull up my, I believe it's my commercial bid here. Right here. I'm going to go in and hit edit. And this is the actual physical estimate document. So when that link breaks, and it's no fault of the Service Autopilot, it's my fault, I didn't update it when I was in here editing. You really want to go in and take this, delete it, grab that dynamic content, and swing that back in there, and you should be good to go. So we hit save, close. We should be in good shape. So let's see if I can pull this back up live on the fly under some pressure, and see if we can't get that estimate to work for us. So when we just did, I believe, here we go. So I'm going to reload it. Yes. I'm going to save it, and then I'll go back up to the preview to show you what it looks like for a per inch contract. The consumer can't only select certain inch intervals. So comments or questions, drop them in if you want, but this is how we tackle snow removal. And there you have it. So this is obviously fictitious, but what we're charging per plow based on inch intervals in a per inch snow removal contract. So if people are interested, we're more than happy to dive into some more detail on this. But this is a couple ways of breaking out the particulars in snow removal. Scott Howard at Service Autopilot yesterday just had a great live video on Facebook, how to actually go out, part 1 of 2, how to schedule and set snow removal up. But one thing he didn't head on was the breakdown of how to actually potentially set up the different levels of an estimate. And so I just wanted to add on to that to kind of help the SA community figuring out how do you get the pricing and estimate set up. And then Scott took over how to schedule and dispatch that. So comments, questions, drop below. Hopefully this was helpful. But we're looking at, with this methodology, you can get an average in your industry based on different events in each snow range. So you can have a per trip price per plow, no matter how much snow. You can have an unlimited. You can have a retainer based on averages, based on some math behind the scenes that I showed you. Or if you want to do a per inch contract, this is how you could potentially, one way of setting it up, where the consumer can only select yay or nay for this per inch contract here. So hope that was helpful, and good luck with the this upcoming winter, and happy to answer any comments or questions on the recorded version as well.